Right now, you might be standing in your kitchen, flipping a steak or waiting for a microwave to beep, without a second thought. To you, cooking is just a chore, a mundane part of a Tuesday night. But in the grand theater of evolution, you are doing something impossible. Out of nearly 9 million species on Earth, you are the only one that refuses to eat its food the way nature provided it. Every other creature, from the mighty silverback gorilla to the apex predator shark, spends its life consuming raw calories. But for you, the raw world is a distant, often dangerous memory. For 99.9% of human history, the kitchen didn't exist. There were no stoves, no spices, and no safety nets. Tonight, we're going deep into the lost history of the human appetite. We're going to explore the grueling reality of what you ate before fire, the biological energy tax that kept our ancestors' brains small, and how a single spark didn't just cook our food. It literally restructured your brain and made you who you are today. Because if you've ever wondered why your brain is so much more powerful than any other animal's, the answer isn't in your DNA. It's in your campfire. To understand why we cook, you have to imagine your life before the flame. Picture yourself 2 million years ago. You're hungry, but there is no dinner time. There is only the constant, exhausting search for calories. Before fire, your menu was a brutal list of raw roots, tough tubers, and the occasional scavenged carcass. But there was a problem. Raw food is incredibly difficult to break down. If you look at our closest living relatives, like chimpanzees or gorillas, they spend an average of 6 to 8 hours every single day just chewing. Your ancestors were trapped in a biological cage. Raw meat is tough and full of collagen. Raw plants are protected by thick cell walls of cellulose. To get enough energy to survive, your day was a relentless chop-chop of teeth against gristle. This was the energy tax. Your body only has a finite amount of energy to spend. In this raw world, nearly all of your energy was being diverted to your gut. Digestion is an expensive process, and raw food requires massive jaw muscles and a giant, energy-hungry digestive tract to process. In the raw world, you had a huge gut, but a very small brain. There simply wasn't enough energy left over to fuel a complex intellect. Then, something miraculous happened. We don't know exactly when, but somewhere in the African savanna, an ancestor discovered that fire could be controlled. When you put a piece of meat or a starchy root over a flame, you aren't just making it taste better. You are performing external digestion. The heat breaks down the tough fibers and denatures the proteins before they ever touch your tongue. Suddenly, the 6-hour chew was over. Cooked food provides significantly more calories than raw food because your body doesn't have to work as hard to absorb them. This created the greatest energy surplus in the history of our species. As your ancestors began to eat cooked food, a radical biological trade-off took place. Because we no longer needed a massive digestive system to process raw gristle, our guts began to shrink. And with that extra energy that was no longer being spent on digestion, our brains began to bloom. Over the next 2 million years, the human brain tripled in size. We traded our stomachs for our minds. But fire did more than just change our biology. It changed our social DNA. In the raw world, you ate alone or in small tense groups, constantly looking over your shoulder for predators. But fire created a 30-foot circle of safety. Most predators are terrified of flames, meaning for the first time in 300,000 years, your ancestors could sit still in the dark without being eaten. This circle of light is where we became human. This is where night talk was born. While the day was for functional survival, finding water, tracking animals, the night was for the soul. Around the fire, we shared stories, we bonded, and we formed the safety pile. That tight-knit tribal unit that shared every burden. When you feel a deep sense of peace sitting around a campfire today, or why you find the smell of barbecue so intoxicating, that's not an accident. That is a biological echo. Your brain recognizes that smell as the ultimate signal of safety, calorie-rich food, and tribal connection. Today, we live in a world of infinite calories and artificial light, but we are still carrying that ancient tribal brain. We've traded the communal fire for a smartphone screen and the deep, storytelling night talk for shallow digital notifications. We often feel broken or anxious because we are the only species that has completely removed itself from its natural habitat. We cook our food in isolation, forgetting that for 99.9% of our history, the meal was the social glue that kept us alive. Next time you cook a meal, take a moment to look at the steam rising from the pan. You aren't just making dinner. You are participating in the very revolution that gave you the consciousness to wonder about it in the first place. You aren't just eating, you're remembering. If you want to keep exploring the lost history of who we are, join the tribe and hit subscribe. We're going deeper into the biological echoes that make you, you, because you are history.